Hey guys, my name's John. For those of you who don't know me, I am a 45-year-old Asian guy. Yes, I'm 45 and I look like this because I'm Asian. um, a lot of you know me because I'm a fashion photographer and makeup artist and sometimes musician. So a lot of you know me from that industry. But I also happen to work as a uni lecturer teaching third-year medical students because I'm also a doctor, and this is my 20th year now as a doc, of which 17 of those years has been exclusively working in emergency departments. And I work in a busy emergency department here in Victoria. Most of you sort of know me as a bit of a joker. I like to take the piss, and I swear a lot. Apologies in advance. But I wanted to weigh in on this COVID stuff because, look, it's serious. Now, some of you may have noticed that I did a bit of a shit post, probably end of Feb, and I was basically just making light of people's irrational panic. So there's a difference between being worried about something because you're concerned and there's a logic to your reasoning, and unreasonable panic, which is things like I've got a Chinese girlfriend, therefore I might be at risk of coronavirus. That's not the way it works. And at the time, there was a lot of reports of people attacking Asians, even physically, just to blame them for coronavirus. Oh, disclaimer, I don't eat bats. I've never eaten a bat. I don't want to eat a bat. I'm not one of those Asians. There's really not that many of us that do that. I'd rather have a pizza and a bourbon. That's my thing. But anyway, so I did that little shit post, but then obviously things changed very rapidly after that. We're learning a lot more about this virus and learning that it's not just a bad flu. It's certainly a lot more serious than that. Now, the problem was we didn't jump on it quick enough here in Australia. The warning signs were there in China and unfortunately later on in Italy, but we didn't jump on it quick enough. We didn't jump on it hard enough. And as a result, we find ourselves in the situation now, which is that the virus is out in the community, and we're on a similar trajectory to Italy at the moment. So we're sort of clocking similar rises in the number of cases per day, and that number is going up exponentially, so really quickly. And Italy went through the exact same thing. They started off sort of low grade and they're trying to work out, is this something serious? Do I need to be worried or not? And then it really started taking off, and by the time they realized it was too late. We're right on that cusp at the moment. And our friends over in the US and in the UK, you're all in the same boat. We're all literally on this cusp of it just going totally tits up. And we need to do something now. And the reason why I wanted to do this video now is that we're still seeing a lot of people out there not quite understanding the whole concept of this social isolation and distancing and all that sort of stuff. So I wanted to try and explain it a little bit better. And I think that we as a medical community need to apologize to the community at large because we've bandied around a lot of phrases like just use common sense. And it's like, yeah, it's common sense if you have the knowledge behind you already. Not everyone has the luxury of going to med school, nursing school, that kind of thing, or if you're having even a basic education. So that's a bit presumptuous of us. And so on behalf of the medical community, I want to apologize about that. And I want to try and explain this whole, you hear a lot of these phrases, flattening the curve. And you're like, I ain't flattening no curve, I'm thick. That's me. But no, girlfriend, you just keep your curves. But they're not the curves we're talking about. We're talking about a graph. Now, I hate maths. I can do it though. I'm Asian. But the whole flattening the curve concept, I'm going to use a different analogy to help you try and understand what we're facing coming up. So imagine you're a mechanic. Okay, so everyone understands the concept of a mechanic. People come there with their problems with their car. Mechanic checks it out, fixes it, gets them home. Sweet. Say day one, you're a mechanic, Monday. Someone comes in, hey mate, I've got a flat tire. Can you change it? You look at the car, you go, yep, I know that model, I know the tire, got them in stock, here's one, all sorted. The customer's happy, you're happy, everything's good. Tuesday comes around and 5 people come in and they're wanting the same sort of tyre. And you go, well, just as well, I've got 20 in the back. Well, I've got 19 now because I've sold one. But I've now got 20, so I've got 19. Yeah, I can easily help out these 5 people. Sweet. So they leave, happy, all good. Wednesday comes around and suddenly, on Tuesday you go, they went pretty quick. Maybe I better order some more. So you order, 20 more tyres. Takes about a week to get delivered. However, Wednesday rocks around and 20 people come in then going, hey, you wouldn't believe this, but I've got a flat tyre. And it's all the same model. They all need the same tyre. And you're going, shit, really sorry. Normally we've got heaps, but I literally just sold 6 in the last 2 days. I've got 14 here. The first 14, best in, best dressed, I'll serve you guys. Everyone else, I'm going to put you on a waiting list. I'm getting new tyres coming in early next week. I'll let you know as soon as they come in, we'll get you fixed. Everyone's sort of, not as happy, but we're cool. However, Thursday rocks around, and this time it's 60 people needing a spare tyre. And then Friday rocks around, and it's 150 people. And then Saturday rocks around, and it's 300. And now you're suddenly realizing there's something not right here, and I can't keep up with demand, yeah? I've only got so many tyres, I've already ordered in more, and I still can't keep up with it. I'm having to turn people away, and they're starting to get angry at me because they're going, you're a mechanic, aren't you? How come you can't fix me? You're meant to be able to fix my tyres. So let's look at what actually is happening with coronavirus. How does it kill you? We sort of hear this mystery virus and it just kills people, but some people are cool and some people are not. Why? Coronavirus kills people kind of like the way the flu kills people. So you hear a lot of people say, lots of people get the flu. I've had it. Lots of people, other people have had it. Most of us don't die, right? But some people do, and you hear about it and you go, how come they died? And yes, a lot of times it's because they've got other illnesses as well, but sometimes it's young, healthy people, and you sort of go, why did they die? It was still just the flu. So normally flu comes in, goes into your airways, causes you to feel really shit, you get a fever, you get achy, you feel crap, but then you kind of recover, yeah? You sick for a while, because you're a man, if you're a man, but you sick for a while, and then you get over it. However, if that virus crosses over into the lung tissue and starts to multiply within the lung tissue itself, so you've seen all the pictures, lungs like a sponge, and imagine that sponge starting to fill up with pus and phlegm and bacteria. Now, when you're breathing in, oxygen's coming in, but it can't get into your lung tissue because it's full of shit, essentially, yeah? And if it can't get in, it can't then get into your bloodstream, so therefore your body doesn't get oxygen. If your body doesn't get oxygen, you die, yeah? So that's what happens with coronavirus. That's what it does. Now, in order to fix that, if someone came in right now with a decent pneumonia, whether it's a bacteria or a virus that's causing it, doesn't matter. Pneumonia is a pneumonia. Bottom line is that we need to stabilize them and get oxygen into them somehow. So what we usually do is we put them to sleep, like you do with an operation, and you put a tube down your throat. We put you to sleep. We take over your breathing for you. So we use mechanical ventilators, so machines that will open up your lungs, expand them, decompress them, expand them, decompress them, and we push oxygen in, and you can breathe the CO2 out. And the idea is that we essentially just buy some time. We support you for as long as it takes for your immune system to finally fight off that infection and recover. Now, if it's just one person, sweet. So day one on the Monday, one person comes in, they've got full-blown COVID, pneumonia, whatever, we can fix that. Awesome. Day 2, 5 people come in. Okay, bit crazy, but we can fix that. But if day 3, 20 people come in, we're suddenly overloaded. I run out of ventilators. I can't fix that many people. These are people that still deserve to live. These are people that would most likely survive if we got them onto a ventilator. But if I don't have the ventilators, I can't save them. And this is what we're worried about with this whole flattening the curve. So it's a graph. Yeah, so imagine, y-axis, x-axis, told you I hate maths. And you've got this curve, and basically these are the number of cases that are climbing up, but it sort of reaches a certain point where all of a sudden we don't have enough ventilators to manage it. And if we go past that point, suddenly people start dying because we just don't have enough resources. And that's what Italy's facing right now. That's why they've got such huge death rates. Now, a lot of these people could have been saved, but they don't have the ventilators, the staff, the supporting medications to keep these patients alive, and they're dying. These patients that don't need to die. Okay? It's avoidable. And so what we're trying to do with the flattening of the curve is we're trying to reduce the spread so that even it is out in the community. We know that. It's out there. It's all around Australia at the moment. We know that. It's all around the US. It's all around the UK. But if we can keep the numbers low enough until this virus runs its course, all the people who are critically ill, we're still able to save them. That's the aim. However, something needs to be done now. Finger pointing at what we should have done is not going to help. That's passed. That time for that has passed. It's too late. We've already got community spread. The ship has sailed. We're on it, and we've got storm clouds ahead, and we're seeing that storm in front of us. Now, Italy, thankfully, and my heart goes out to all you medical professionals out there in Italy. Thank you, because you've given us the early warning signs. But we've got to pay heed. We've got to take note of that storm and see. We're heading right for that. We've got literally about a day or two maybe to divert our ship the other direction so that we maybe just cop the edge of that storm and sail around it. Sorry, I've had to write some notes because there's so much I wanted to talk about. And the only way we're going to do that is that we need to try and reduce the number of people getting sick. And the only way to do it, because we don't have a cure, we don't have a vaccine, so we can't even prevent it. Obviously, prevention is better than the cure. So the only way we can prevent it is this whole thing that you hear about with social distancing, self-isolation, and quarantining. Quarantining means you're completely shut off. Self-isolation means you're shut off, but you've got limited contact, which is, you're very carefully protecting yourself. And social isolating is that, look, if you really have to get together, do so, but make sure you maintain good distance apart, good hand hygiene, be very aware of all those sort of things. But the thing is, the better we do this, so the closer you get to the quarantining version of it, if everyone tries to do this, the more chance we've got of success. Because the virus can only last for a certain amount of time before it eventually dies if it's not in a host. And so once it runs its course and your immune system fights it off, if it's got no one else to jump to, that's it. It's done. We've killed it in that area. But if you then meet someone else, you can pass it to them. Now, the thing is that the recent data that's coming out, in particular, some very interesting data coming out of the studies from the Diamond Princess, whatever, cruise ship that had all those people on it with it. There is preliminary statistics suggesting that up to 49% of the people on that ship who tested positive were actually asymptomatic, i.e. had no symptoms, i.e. didn't have a huge cough or fever or anything like that. And so we're seeing a lot of people at the moment going, as long as, Barry feels good, I feel good, Trevor feels good, we can still get together for a beer. No, you can't. Okay? You can't do that. You can't have your wedding. You can't, which is just nuts. Like, people are still, like, even the weekend just passed, people are still having weddings. No, please don't. Think about it. Like, I know it's your special day. I get it. I used to do wedding photography as well, and a makeup artist. Like, I've done all that stuff. I know how much effort and money and everything it goes into making a wedding. But think about what's actually happening. Take a step back. Okay? You're inviting all of your closest friends, the people that mean the most to you, your family, and your loved one, the one you want to spend the rest of your life with. How would you feel if one person, two people die because you've invited them to this wedding? How is that going to be your special day when someone has died as a result of it? And what if this person who dies happens to be your partner? Happens to be this one person you want to spend your life happily ever after with, and then they die because they contracted COVID-19 at your wedding because you wanted a special day, and literally the only thing that you will have to remember them by is that one day. That's a fucking tragedy. Yeah? Don't do it. Just don't. I will make an important note though. If you paid deposits to your photographer, makeup artist, reception venue, food supplier, keep that deposit there. say to them, I still absolutely want you for my wedding. We're just going to have to postpone it. But those people were relying on that income to get them through, and they're now out of a job. So don't suddenly pull back your deposit. Please leave your deposits if you can with those people, because they're relying on that to survive. But just put it off. Have your happy day on another day when you can give yourselves a chance of living happily ever after, once this whole shit is blown over. Yeah. If one person can infect 40 at a wedding in Sydney, you can just see how it is. It's like playing Russian roulette and saying to all your guests, hey, by the way, we're going to play this game. There's a gun under your seat. Put the barrel to your head, put the gun to your head, spin the barrel, and press the trigger. I think most people have got blanks. Maybe one of you might have a bullet. I don't know. I'm sorry. It's just, but look, it'll be fun. Everyone else seems pretty well. Let's give it a shot. That's literally what you're doing. You're playing Russian roulette with everyone that matters the most to you. In other words, don't. Okay, that is common sense, I think, and I don't think I'm being judgmental in that. I think that's fairly common sense. So please don't. And even the whole schooling thing at the moment, the Australian government is still being very hesitant to pull kids out of school. I don't get it. There's so many doctors around Australia who are saying, this is nuts. Stop it. Shut it down. Why? Okay, look, we still don't have enough evidence to say that the kids can be super spreaders. But they can still get it, and they can therefore still spread it. There's an 11-year-old at the moment, I think, in Atlanta on life support, who was previously well. So it's not like a kid who had lots of illnesses. This is a well kid who's got it. I think the youngest death, if I'm not wrong, is a 14-year-old. So if kids can get it, they can spread it. It's as simple as that. And even if it's not that many of them, maybe for whatever reason their immune systems cope with this better, the whole fact that they can spread it means that they can spread it to their teacher, who is an adult. They can spread it to the other parents who are coming to pick up their kids. The whole social distancing doesn't work when you've got 50 to 100 parents trying to pick up all their preschoolers, does it? It just doesn't work. We should be stopping it. And yes, it's disruptive to their schooling. And, Scott Morrison said something about, but potentially they could be missing out on 6 months worth of schooling. Okay, I'm going to ask a question to you guys. How much schooling do you think they're going to miss out on if this thing gets out of control like it is in Italy? The economy crashes. Parents are out of a job for 6 months to a year. One parent might even die with this. How good do you think the schooling is going to be if their parents lose their jobs, or their parents die, or their teachers die? It's ridiculous to think in that short-term way of thinking. It's just nuts. So if the government's not going to make the decision to pull your kids out of school, please do it yourself if you can. And I know that's easy for me to say. There's a lot of single mums out there who can't do that. My co-workers are really struggling to work out how they're going to look after their kids if they're meant to be coming into the hospital and helping out. I know it's not an easy decision. But think about what I've said. Even if your kid doesn't get it badly, they could still pass it to you, and you could still get it. You could still do badly, and if you're not going to be around for your kids, how is that going to help them? Think about it. Short-term versus long-term, guys. Really. And so the thing is that at the moment, just to word you guys up, like hospitals all around the country are starting to develop protocols, and each time they modify it, it seems more extreme almost, the way we're going. We're having to go, okay, worst case scenario of A, or worst case scenario B, worst case scenario C. In this scenario, who gets to live, who gets to die? Who do you resuscitate, who don't you resuscitate? If you've got, the 20 people wanting the tyre, who gets the tyre? It's that kind of questioning. And the questions that you've got to ask is things like, it's all very ethical questions, but, do you give it to the 60-year-old doctor who's still working in an emergency department? Or do you give it to the 35-year-old engineer who's critically important in some infrastructure thing? Do you give it to the 25-year-old single mum? Do you give it to the 15-year-old kid who's got their whole life ahead of them? Do you give it to the 27-year-old pregnant lady? Do you give it to the 32-year-old lady who's already got one kid? Just ridiculously difficult decisions where there's almost no right answer. And even say for example, if one of, like, sorry, let me go back to that. And the reason why they're coming up with all these strategies of who gets what and what do we do in certain situations is because to actually save someone's life. So if they're crashing to the point where they're going to need us to do the ventilation thing and stick the tube down the throat, help them breathe, that is actually a ridiculously risky procedure for us to do as medical professionals. Why? Because we're getting right up close with the patient's face. We're trying to put the tube down their throat, so we're close exposure to them breathing. We're pumping air in, and then air is coming back out again, which is loaded with virus, and we're literally right in our faces. Now, yes, we've got some protective gear, but trust me, I recently had to deal with my first serious case quite recently, and I still felt vulnerable as fuck, to be honest. It really doesn't feel like you're protected. I probably am, but it really doesn't feel like it because there are areas of my skin that are still exposed, and I'm copping virus. And so the thing is, why does that make us more at risk? So let's have a look at, say, for example, you're on a bus and someone has it there and they coughed on you and you caught the virus. That's one viral load. But chances are your immune system can deal with it. That's why a lot of people have a fairly mild illness. They coughed one viral load, a fairly low load. Your immune system was strong enough to fight off that little bit. Sweet, they're all good. However, if we're in an environment where we're getting prolonged one viral load, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, suddenly so much virus enters our system, our immune system has a lot more trouble dealing with it. And that's why health workers in Italy are dropping like flies. That's why we're getting, previously healthy 20-something-year-old doctors dropping dead. It's because of the sheer amount of virus they're getting exposed to. Their immune systems just can't cope. So we're at a high risk. And so our hospital system is having to come up with ways to protect us, but those ways to protect us may mean that we're not able to do what we would normally do to save your life. And we sacrifice one person for the good of 6 health professionals so that we're at least able to help others. And that's a horrible decision to potentially have to make. Now, for myself, I don't particularly care. I'm a single guy. I've got no kids that I know of. I don't have a particularly high value on my own life. However, a lot of my co-workers have got kids, families depending on them. And potentially, if this goes as horribly as it has in Italy, we're going to be faced with situations where we've got a co-worker coming in because they've contracted it at work, and we may not be able to save them. Young, otherwise healthy person who's just come down with this horrible illness, and because we've run out of ventilators, or they're maybe just above the age group, we arbitrarily decide, okay, we're not treating above this age group. And I don't want to have to look one of my co-workers in the eye and say, I can't save you. I don't want that. I don't want to be put in that situation. I mean, we get put in a lot of horrible situations where we have to sort of say, hey, I can't save your loved one. And it's usually sort of, maybe 90-something-year-old lady who's demented in a nursing home. And you sort of go, look, they've lived a good life. And you can sort of rationalize it out. This is one that is so hard to rationalize out because you know that you can save them if you had the right gear. It's sort of like being on a cliff and you walk along the cliff and then all of a sudden your mate falls off and they're just hanging by a little thread, and you could save them if you had a length of rope, and normally you carry a rope, but you can't give them that rope because you've just used that for someone else who's also fallen off a cliff, and they still need that rope because they're still slowly climbing their way up. I don't want to be put in that position, and no one should be put in that position. I don't want to be able to have to say that these people who have sacrificed so much to save everyone else are now going to have to die because some person out there didn't want to self-isolate. That's horrible. It's a really horrible thing. It's really literally, it's like, I'm a fan of the Marvel movies, and, it's the whole, Barton and Romanov scene. Imagine, if that scene got you, imagine that for us, seeing our co-workers in that scenario, it's horrible, and I really don't want to have to go through that. But we're going to be exposed to that potentially shift after shift after shift. So is this a scary scenario? Yes, absolutely. There is no point saying that, oh, don't worry about it, you're overreacting. No, you're not overreacting. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay, because this is unprecedented. We're not used to this. Yeah, most of us have never lived through anything like this. However, is it a reason to panic? No. So while I am concerned and I'm taking it very seriously, I'm not panicked at all. This is what I do. This is what I'm meant to be doing in my life. It's my job, and I'm going to be back at work on my next shift without any hesitation whatsoever. And when I saw, most recently, my sick patient who was confirmed COVID, I just went straight forward. I said, "Yep, I'm going to see him. I'll go in there. I'll expose myself because that's what we do." But the thing is, obviously, I've got a certain mindset on that. But panic never helps anyone. You've seen all the movies. Usually, the person who panics is the first one to die. So let's try not to panic. It doesn't help anyone. But the important thing is that we need to take this seriously. It's not just a flu, and we all need to do something, and we all need to do something right now. If the government can't give a strict enough shutdown, we have to do it ourselves. Okay, New Zealand got the right idea. They're just going on complete lockdown. You have to do an extreme thing now to save a prolonged horrible thing later. Yeah, you sort of worry about the economic impact now. It's like, I can't go to work. What if you can't go to work for what ends up being 6 months to a year because we didn't act hard enough at the beginning? Don't you think it'd be a lot better to go on a 1, maybe 2 month solid lockdown where everyone's in the same boat? Government should step up, pay for the rent, pay for bills, whatnot. Government takes a big financial hit for those 2 months, but then we eliminate the virus and we can start getting back on with our lives and things can start recovering again. It's so much better to do that than to drag this shit out half-assed and prolong it. So if the government won't make the moves that need to be made, you need to do it yourself, please. So anyway, I want to put a challenge to you guys, and I want to make it fun because we need a bit of fun. Yep, this whole thing's been really shit. So let's make a bit of fun. So I want to start up 2 hashtags and I want to start trending. Can you please help me? The first hashtag is Embarrass John. Okay? So for those of you who know me and you want to take the piss out of me, bring it. Okay? Bring it. What I want you to do, hashtag Embarrass John, because what I want you to do is I want everyone to self-isolate, do it really well, so that in a couple of months' time, I can look back on this video and go, oh, fuck, I got so emotional. God, that's embarrassing. What an overreaction. I want to do that, okay? Because the alternative is so much more horrible. Italy, I'm seeing that alternative right now. I don't want that. So please, embarrass me. I would much prefer that. That's the first hashtag. The second hashtag is going to be more fun. Second hashtag is be a superhero. Now, I'll explain that. A lot of you guys are sort of saying, like, I've received a lot of really lovely messages over the last 24, 48 hours of, John, thank you so much for what you're doing. You're on the front line. You're my hero. And look, it's fucking lovely. Thank you. I appreciate it. But I want to say something on behalf of, oh shit, I'm getting emotional again. On behalf of all the medical people, I know my co-workers feel the same. To everyone out there who's self-isolating at the moment, who's in quarantine, who's doing it off their own bat, I want to say thank you, because you are my hero. Because of what you're doing, you're giving me and my co-workers a chance, a fighting chance. So yeah, I want to say thank you. So be a hero to me. If I'm a hero to you, please be a hero to me. And do the right thing. Don't be a dick. Don't be selfish. So be a superhero. So that's the hashtag. Be a superhero, but we're gonna make it fun. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is you're stuck at home, right? So you're stuck at home. You're bored shitless. Come up with a superhero costume from whatever you've got in the house. Okay. Wear your undies on the outside. Wrap yourself in toilet paper and call yourself Toilet Paper Man. I don't give a shit. Let's get creative. I want to see what happens. And I want to see, give yourself a name. And I want you to reply on this video your superhero name. I want you to take a selfie, post up a photo of yourself, and I want you to put down the number of days you've been self-isolating up till now. Now, some of you guys have been fucking bang on it right from the beginning. That number might be 14, 21 days already. If it is, you guys are fucking legends. Like, seriously, you twigged on even before some of us did. So, thank you. But look, maybe it's only 5 days that you've been starting to do this, or maybe this is the first time, like you've watched this video and you've gone, fuck, that kind of makes sense. I need to do my bit. And this only works if we all do our bit. All it takes is one dickhead and this doesn't work. So we all need to do our bit. So maybe your number of days is 1 after watching this video. And if it is, you're still my fucking hero. Because you've recognized that, okay, yep, we've made mistakes. Hey, everyone's made mistakes. The government's made mistakes. The health department's made mistakes. Doctors made mistakes. That's past now. What matters is what we do now. So if it's 1, fucking awesome. Thank you. You're my hero. So post that up, please, on this video. Share, like, let's get this going. We may be, the medical staff may be the frontline people on this battle, but you guys are just on a different battlefield. It's the same war. We're all in it together, okay? So look, let's do this together. Self-isolate as much as you can. Good hand hygiene. Like, watch the videos. Like, there's a great one of a guy doing it with some, and he's using some black paint, and you just see just how ineffective you realize your normal hand washing is. You literally got to do it like a surgeon does, which is really anal, but you got to do it. Good hygiene, flatten the curve, and live to embarrass me, live to have schooling for your kids, live to be there for your kids, live to have that happily ever after with your loved one. We can do this, only if we do it together. Good luck, and thank you.